You're tuned into the show that informs, entertains, inspires, and promotes motorsports everywhere.
Welcome to Winning Wednesday on Northwest Racing Report.
Tonight's show is brought to you by
Miller Kitchen and Bath, Bailey General Contractors, Myers Floor Covering, Welcher's Gun Shop, and Flaming Pig Barbecue.
And by the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval. And by Leonard Evans, Used Car Superstore. And by Product41.com, Atomic Screen Printing. And by BLG, Blue Line Graphics. Be unique, stand out, get noticed. www.blg.blue. And now, back to your horsepower and performance hosts, Terry Bridges and Glenn Lippy Tower. Oh, what's happening, racers? Welcome to another edition of Winter Circle Wednesday here on the Northwest Race Report. I'm your horsepower and performance host, Terry Bridges. In with me, my main man, the loader, Mr. Jeffrey Eaton. What's going on, loader?
Oh, you know, same old thing, same old thing. P1, Ronnie Cox today.
Cox was P1?
Cox
the Rocket, baby.
Yeah, he was on it.
Yeah. Hey, we got a good show for you tonight. Part 3 with Bear Tamasovich. And we're going to be talking track owners and promoters. We got about 8 topics we're going to talk about when he calls us. He'll be calling us about, 10 after 7 or so. Man, we've got some results from Roseburg. I've got the final race, and I've got the championship points. But before we rip into that.
Was that from your roving reporter?
That was from my Triple R, my roving race reporter, Mrs.
Way to go.
Lori Fuller. Well, she is Mr. and Mrs., I guess. But, hey, Loader, I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to ask you guys out there. I think I was P1, LOL. Rossmeyer, maybe he was. We'll have to go back and take a look at it.
No.
But before the Bear gets calling us about 10 after, hey, did you see the Clash? Or should I say the Wreck Fest?
Pretty disgusting, in my opinion.
It was. I mean, I couldn't believe how many cars they tore up.
Yeah.
Bear in the house. Lori, you are so in trouble. And I just had it good, too. Dang it. What's going on, Doug? Tony Williamson in the house. What is going on? He jumped the start again. He must be talking about the 9. Yeah, I just couldn't believe. Hey, although I will say, finally, I did hear on the radio, it was Austin Dillon when he got tore up in that mess and he hung on and he drove and his spotter's going, go high, go low, and he weaves through and he says, I don't know how I did that. Finally, somebody's honest, right?
Well, yeah.
Because you get on there and they say, oh, yeah, you know what? You know you didn't. You were hanging on for dear life.
Tell me whose mistake it was the worst tore-up car in the building wins it.
Isn't that crazy?
So tell me, no more. I'm saying no more wind tunnel.
Well, did you see the Bush touch? I don't know. I didn't really. I wish I could have saw it again, but did he cause that, or did the guy come down? I don't know. It was a mess. That's all I know.
All I know is I seen somebody on Facebook today said they were gonna have a heart transplant, but they realized that they wanted Kyle Busch's, but then they realized he didn't have one.
Oh, ouch! What's up, Kelsey Pease? What's going on, girl? Now there's a racing female right there, Kelsey Pease. She was down there doing tires at BK. She was so amazing. Wow, yeah, Daytona coming up this weekend. Yeah, the 17th. You know what else is the 17th?
You're right.
Austin Dillon was the only car not crashed up, and he still couldn't win. Right? I mean, it was Busch was the victim. I know he kind of was because he was in the middle.
I'm glad somebody likes him. I'll be honest with you. I do not care for him and his pouting expertise.
Absolutely, I will agree.
So, I mean,
as a wheelman,
as calling him a victim, I could care less.
but let's say, I mean, Busch as a wheel, the guy can drive the wheels off a race car.
He can drive anything.
He really can.
I mean, they're working on. I don't remember who it was talking about trying to get him in an IndyCar this year.
I was just going to say, Jimmy Johnson in his final season, he's going to be looking at jumping in. He said he wants to try an IndyCar in 2021.
Well,
I mean, I know. Go figure.
I'm going to say this to Jimmy Johnson. Call it good luck. You at your age, you're going to go mess around with kids.
I know that is.
It ain't happening.
And you know what? That's a whole. I mean, you might have run a stock car there, but that's a whole different breed of cat. Those things are. God, they're bloody fast. You know, that's 220 plus. I don't know. If he's going to retire, I'd hate to. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, if he does it, I'm sure he'll be good. He's smooth enough. He's good enough.
I mean, Kurt went and done it.
And Tony Stewart, but we know he
Tony Stewart grew up doing it.
Yep.
Hey, race fans, it's Double M, Mike Michelson, and it's time for Winner's Circle Wednesday, only on the Northwest Racing Report.
Beginner box. This is Roseburg. This is all we got. Beginner box. Brody Norton, Kendall Crisp, Hunter Granger. In box stock, it was Keegan Bounds, Carson Crisp, Rylan Fain. Open Subaru, Andrew Horner, Tim Smith, Carson Crisp. 250, Casey Simmons, Natalie Hudson, Kendall Masters. Good to see women in that cage kart stuff, getting up there. 500s, the man, Scotty Fox wins it. Ryan Fullerton and Casey Starr. Haven't seen her name in a while. Championship points from Roseburg. This is how it went down. And here's what I like about Roseburg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes. Right? Simple, easy, done. You're not wore out. There's not three, I think that is going to be the trend. Even the pavement people are looking at cutting some of that. I mean, you can't have a class and a weight for every single
person.
Correct. Box stock went to Bentley Mead. Elijah Humphrey was second. Silas Holden was third. Fourth was Kendall Crisp, and Cale Lenathan was fifth. Box stock. Keegan Bounds was your champion. Andrew Horner, Carson Crisp, Rylan Fain, and Haven Smith. Open Subaru. Andrew Horner, Tim Smith, Carson Crisp, Kellen Hurst, and Keegan Bounds. 250, your champion, Natalie Hudson. Hey, go, girl. Casey Simmons, second. Kendall Masters, third. Jake Redmond, fourth. Taylor Fuller, fifth. 500, Brendan McMaster, your champion. Austin Sauce. Yes, that is a relation.
Really?
Yes. Wyatt Pinkney, Steve Snotter, and Pat Desbians. That was the championship points from Roseburg. Anytime now, we're going to be hearing from our main man, the Bear Tamasovich, part 3 of our track owners and promoters. Did you hear the first 2?
Yes.
What'd you think?
Very informative.
I thought so too. Yeah. Bear is very excellent. He knows his stuff. He's got Bear Track Speedway. He's got a new one he's working on. He's got the Bears Den on Tuesday nights. Hopefully you guys are checking him out. He's really a cool dude. I'm glad we collaborated and got this done. This is super cool. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. C for my Flyware that I got on today. My C High Performance shirt. Maybe you guys saw it in the ad today too, but Superfly got a Superfly sweatshirt too, but he's got Superfly brakes, Superfly bodies. He's got all kinds of cool stuff.
And I'd like to thank Mr. Carhart for my t-shirt.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. And you got your new team.
Got the 29.
But it's not the 29. It's the 17 now.
All my stuff doesn't match.
That's all right.
That means I get new stuff.
Cool. Swag. Gotta love the swag. So Bear Tamasovich. Yeah, Tamasovich. I'm saying it right. There he is. The Bear. your favorite drivers, and people of interest in the motorsports world. It's time for In the Seat, powered by Blue Line Graphics. Bear, what is going on, my man?
Not much. How are you this evening?
Doing awesome, buddy. Good to hear from you.
You too.
Hey, did you get a chance to see any of the BK?
Very little. I watched the Race of Champions, I believe.
On Friday night? Yep.
Yes, and a couple of your interviews. I caught a couple of that on Facebook, but I apologize. I did not get to see the feature. I saw qualifying, and I did not get to see the feature.
Oh, that's okay, man. But, yeah, you know, what was cool is they finally got my laps in there. We only had a select number of transponders, so only 2 classes got scored with that. But it was important that we had that. And for the first time, I think qualifying was actually right on the money.
Awesome.
Yes. Tonight, part 3 of our track owners and promoters. We're glad you're with us. Jam and Jimmy Nettles in the house. Oh, baby. John Campos, Billy Weber. What's going on, guys?
The Lightning.
Yeah,
John
man.
Campos.
So let's jump right into it, Bear. The first one on your list was try something different. Doesn't have to be big, but if you're in a slump, you got to go outside of your comfort zone.
So in the first 2 series, part 1 and part 2, we talked about building things up, making sure you start out small, be humble, get people there, get the people you need, get the information and the knowledge and the wisdom you need to put everything together and build everything up. Now that you're there, you got things rolling. Now sometimes you get through the beginning of the season, things are great. Kids are getting out of school at the end of May and June, or people have more time, days are longer, season's in full swing. Now you get to July, you get 4th of July, you get a lot of big money races, either in karting or big cars, or sprint racing. And then you hit August and people are taking vacations. Kids are doing fairs. You're going back, getting ready to go back to school, and you feel like you're getting in a slump, or you see the same thing going over and over. Try something different. Have an Australian pursuit race, have a knockout race, have a backwards race. Try something different to keep the people enthused and the racers enthused. It doesn't have to be big. Give away some free pit passes. Give away some free general admission passes. Do something to entice the people. You always have to be thinking about the next big thing. Remember, racing is a sport, but it also is an entertainment. A lot of people don't like to say it as an entertainment because it's their lifeblood. It's everything they do, but it is still an entertainment, just like any other sport. So you have to keep people enthused. And once you get to the top or you have everything in place, you have to keep the momentum going.
Awesome. That's super awesome. Loader?
Well, and like what Portland used to have. The wheel, where you spun the wheel, or whether you were going right or left with their street stocks.
And the other thing they did, Bear, was they actually took the promoter. This wheel was big, man. And they put the promoter in there, and his head was like the top of the arrow. So they would spin him, and wherever his head landed, that would be the invert.
And I've tried a lot of different things. I want to say the best one that I tried so far, but it is very labor-intensive for myself, is called Beat the Bear. So what I would do would be on every weekend that we raced at Bear Tracks, I would say, hey, since we had like really 4 different adult divisions, we had Predator, Clone, Stock Appearing, and Run What You Brung. I would say, hey, for this next race, Bear is bringing down a Stock Appearing cart. And here's what we're going to do. You pay $20. You get 3 laps. You start behind me. It's green, white, checker. You pass me, and we don't spin out, I double your money. You get $40. And we did that probably half a dozen times, I bet. And then the big guys started challenging me, and I won maybe the first 3 or 4. And then people like Jared John and Brett B, which late model guys now, they started whooping me pretty good, and I was starting to take a beating. But people liked it. It was something different. It was labor intensive because I had to put a cart together myself to bring down on top of running on the show at intermission when I'm usually putting schedules together or putting lineups together and talking to people and just working the pits. But that was something different. It was neat. People liked, hey, I beat Bear at his own track. It was something different. It was like a little dash. So that was something cool that we came up with. Last year, real quick, we did the Joker. If you're familiar with I can't remember what kind of racing it's called, but the Red Bull racing where they race on half dirt and half asphalt, that rallycross kind of deal.
Yeah.
And they run like 6 laps, and one of your laps is a longer lap. You have to go around the outside of a course and back in. We ran the Joker last year. Here's an example of something that failed. So I have barriers all the way around the track. In 3 and 4, I put another set of barriers, and I prepped another 10 feet above the track. And if you wanted to double your payout money, you would have to go make one of your laps on the outside of those barriers. And that lasted 2 times, and no one really took to it too good. But if you were to win the race, if it was a 200 to win race, you would win $400. So, but we tried something different. It didn't work. We moved on. We did something else.
But you tried it.
Hey,
yes,
what did Weber say? What Weber said? It's got to be a random invert is the only way to keep drivers honest. Because I'm racing for points. I'm sandbagging.
Not for points.
Or not for points. I'm sandbagging to start pole.
and random inverts can be good and bad. If you have, that's the main reason why we do qualifying at bigger events. Terry, you've been to SEMO. You've seen the Midwest Race of Champions, the BK, prime examples. You got the best of the best out there in a lot of these classes. We do qualifying, so the guys that are fastest start up front. You're still going to have people that are going to pick off places, go from 10th to 1st, go from 15th to 2nd. Some of the problems with the inverts is you put the slower people up front and you end up with more cautions, and it causes more problems in points. That's just one of the drawbacks. Not saying it's always going to happen, but that's some of the vices of heat races. You have 2 heat races, you average the number, and sometimes you have 2 slower guys up front, and it just causes more problems. But I'm not saying it is something different to make it more exciting. We had that in our local NASCAR late model in modified racing at Columbus Motor Speedway. They would have a 6, 8, 10, and 12 invert. And luckily, I was always usually a 6th to a 10th place car, so I was always starting up front. So
Sweet.
It did help me, but I did see more wrecks, unfortunately. But
not because of you.
Not usually. Honestly,
not usually.
No, people can. People would say I was more of a cautious defensive driver. In the terms of the wrecks, I wasn't as aggressive. And I think if you talk to most people that I race with, that was mostly my standpoint of racing all through. Some people say, oh, you got to be aggressive, you got to go for it. Some people, like me, I settle for second a lot.
Well, and the pavement guys are kind of spoiled because they qualify and they run up front. At Willamette, where I ran for 10 years, and Jeff can attest to this, if you were fast time, you started in the back. And then they gave you passing points. You got win points if you won, but you got 2 points for every car you passed as well. It just made a better show of it. It wasn't just an absolute runaway.
Agreed, and it was entertainment again, and it was more for the fans. They got to saw them pick off cars on the outside, low side, work cars over, and it was great. It works out great. The times that it doesn't work out great is when there's a lot of wrecks and you tear up a lot of equipment. I wasn't trying to be negative. I
totally get you.
So you have to find that happy median in your area and that kind of racing that fits your racers. Luckily, locally, at our local dirt track races, we do the 2 heats and we do double file starts. So we have enough discipline to start it. The bigger shows in time, we usually have to do qualifying and single file starts.
Boom. Number 2.
Partner with celebrities or media personnel?
once again, you're trying to do something different. You're trying to keep the entertainment. We're opening up a new go-kart track just north of Zanesville, Ohio, where I'm from, at Muskingum County Speedway. I talked before that it's the home of Donnie Moran, the only person to ever win a $1 million late model race at Eldora. And we partnered together, and if anybody knows his son Devin Moran started out running Lucas late model series last year, carried over to this year with his original team, and now he won a race down in East Bay for Dirt Speed Weeks. Top 3 in Lucas Oil, had the orange spoiler on the back of his car for a night. We're partnering with him. I took him 3 years ago. I asked him if he wanted to run a go-kart race on an indoor track in Northern Ohio. He went. He finished second in both his classes. He had 5,000 people viewed his races on Facebook from Lisa Connor Clark when she went live. So those people watched him. They can watch him run on a Saturday night at a Lucas Oil late model race, and they can watch him at a Saturday night racing in a barn in the middle of nowhere in Northern Ohio. So I have no problem reaching out to people. I've had Hermie Sadler on my show on Bears Den, always looking for someone else, looking for people to draw enthusiasm in the sport. 5 years ago, I was lucky enough to have I reached out. One of my good friends that was in late models and was in karting, Jeff Miller, was able to make contact with Jeremy Mayfield. Everybody knows Jeremy Mayfield's story, his rise and his fall, but he was still a very good person. He came. I invited him to King of the Ridge one year, dirt kart racing. He raced. He made the show. He signed autograph. That was a big deal for the poorest county in Ohio, where we were racing. So just always looking at it. I've gotten shot down a million times by different people that were trying to get to the track. I've worked with Phil Combs, the great announcer down south.
Yep.
He's helped get me in contact with people like Greg Biffle, and even just to maybe reach out to Harry Gant and other people that were trying to get to the tracks, get some notoriety, and draw more people in.
Wow. Number 3. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, and kind of like up here, we've had out at the dirt track, we've had Kenny Schrader come in, and he's raced the modified Speed Week. So he was
traveler.
Cottage Grove, Willamette, Banks, Oregon, there at Sunset, and up here at Grays Harbor. And then Greg Biffle, for a while, was partners with Jerry Schramm at Banks there at Sunset Speedway.
Yeah.
So, they would come in every once in a while, and those nights were huge draws.
Super cool, man. And that's what you got to have. Man, you had Hermie Sadler on your show? God, you're a big shot.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Real quick, Hermie Sadler started a go-kart chassis business called Premier Karts. And he hired a lot of very knowledgeable people and surrounded himself with very smart people. And I reached out to one of his employees and workers and racers, Austin Banker, and he put me in touch with him, and we had him on the show last year.
God,
that's
a
great
awesome
experience.
That's awesome. Number 3, sponsor other events.
Not only are you trying to grow what you have, and it's okay to just stay inside your box, but we always talked about trying something different, getting other people involved. Well, getting other people involved also means the events that you go to, the events that your friends go to, help them out. So like the Midwest Race of Champions, we sponsor one of the classes for that. Even though we're not racing in it, we sponsor it. Got a newer up-and-comer promoter by the name of Chris Plank out of Northwest Ohio. He's doing a lot of LO206 kart racing, working with the over 35 crowd, working with the junior threes. We're working with him to sponsor more events. I sponsor a lot of people. It doesn't even have to be in monetary form. We sponsor a lot of drivers that race karts that now race modifieds or mod lights or late models. I sponsored the local dirt track. We put our name at the top of the hill where you can overlook the track for like a good pit parking where you can have a fire and bring your family out to. sponsor those other places. It shows that you're committed to the sport and you want to help it grow.
Man, that's awesome.
Good point.
Good point. Number 4.
Volunteer in your community.
Volunteering is usually one of the hardest things because the best reward you get is for your heart. It's not something anybody can make you do. It's something that you want to do. So even if it's picking up trash on the side of the road for a local 4-H or helping the 4-H out at a blood drive or a concession stand or something, it puts you out there with the people, not to be chauvinistic, but to show you that you're connected with the community that's coming to your races. If it's on a village, city, county, regional, state level, it doesn't matter. Anything from Midwest Race of Champions to the BK to the local Saturday night bingo at the church. Help out. It shows the people that you're honest and sincere and you're not all about money. It goes along with, and everything is a huge circle. The more you give, usually the more you're going to get back. And you can be humbled. I don't know how many people that we've gone up to and say, "Oh, Bear, you having a race tonight? Oh, we're going to bring our grandson out and watch. Is there any way he can get in a cart?" Hey, I said, "Sure, we can set you up with something." It goes a long way when you're not all about money. Help people out in the community that has helped you get to where you are.
That's a huge point right there. Number 5, it says, plan your banquet or awards ceremony.
So switching gears and going back into whatever kind of racing that you're doing, if you're doing a banquet or you're announcing that you're going to do awards ceremony at the end of the year, and you announce that at the beginning of the year for like a points series or leather jackets or trophies or something, people are going to hold you to it. There's been times where people couldn't make it to our awards banquets or ceremonies and I still had their trophies and they're like, "Hey, can you get the trophy to me?" Sometimes I've dropped the ball. Sometimes it's taken 2, 3, 4 months for me to get that actually shipped out or whatever, just because I kept putting it off. But it's very important. When I talk to the parents of the kids that finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th in point series and they're waiting on that trophy, it's something they put on their room, they put on their dresser. So plan it. Don't take it for granted. Trophies don't have to be that expensive. Trophies make memories. The empty envelopes that say Clone Light 2nd place $50. I see people that have stacks of those that keep that. So when we say plan it out, don't just throw something together. If you're going to have people contributing to your point series, your track, your Saturday night racing, take the time, set back $5 a person a night, put that in a cookie jar, and now you got $500. When we first started doing the awards banquets, we would ask for a $5 donation per person to pay for pizza in the facility. Now we are able to put the money together throughout your budget throughout the year to where now we have chicken, JoJo's Pop. We have a nice facility in the county, and I talk about everybody that wins, and sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's questionable, but it goes a long way. The first time we had a banquet, there was 15 people show up. Now I think we usually get about 40 to 45 people.
And who doesn't have $5 in their pocket? Most of the time, right?
And it goes a long way. I mean, you don't want to say it costs you $20 for the banquet. That's okay. If you're renting out a Taj Mahal and you're having a red carpet kind of deal and that's what you want to do, just plan it out. Just make sure people are interested and you put forth the effort that those people put forth during the year to come to your events or your track. Mm-hmm. Make it look like, even putting tablecloths on tables and lining the trophies up. Kurt Burris, one of the best in the business in terms of giving out awards and giving back to the community. Just shirts, stickers, gloves, that goes a long way to the race. I still see guys that's got 5-year-old Burris gloves and they still wear their Burris jackets that they've had for 8 or 9 years.
You know, the old Burris T-shirts, you know, the one with the bullseye on them? Remember the red? Yep. Those were some of the coolest T-shirts ever. I mean, who doesn't like a cool T-shirt? I mean, come on.
The treaded tire with the wings. That was one of the old nostalgic ones that I'm trying to get. I need to talk to Kurt and see if we can get another run of those back. Those are very nostalgic. A lot of the guys that have been racing Burris tires for the last 20 years.
Hey, I want to go back one there a little bit when you were talking about, you know, the sponsor deal. And this guy was talking about supporting high school automotive programs.
Ralph Kemper, who's a photographer.
You know, where they exist at, which there's few and far between anymore. But that's one of the things that I think that we're missing as a group is trying to get to these high schools and stuff.
You agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
A lot of the times when, especially in the middle school side, my daughter next year will be in middle school, and they do a lot of show and tell stuff. You know, you have the firemen or bring your mom or dad to work. You have the fireman, the doctor, the dentist, the police officer and stuff. Well, who wouldn't want to say, hey, my dad runs a go-kart track, and, you know, bring a go-kart in. We do a lot of festivals and parades where I've had the locals, I asked 3 or 4 locals, hey, I'm going to have my truck and my open trailer. You want to bring your cart? We'll throw out candy. Getting the notoriety out there. Yes, going to schools and talking about stuff. There's other things now besides Xbox and PlayStation.
Absolutely.
What's up, race fans? This is the real deal, Chris Kidd, and you're listening to the Northwest Race Report.
Number 6.
Stay in constant contact with your sponsors.
We have talked about your sponsors on all 3 parts now. So sponsors are a big deal. It doesn't matter if it's the guy that brings a load of gravel over for your driveway.
A load.
The
loader.
and at Bear Tracks, we're in a very, very rural area in the middle of nowhere. And our road, 2-mile road getting to our facility, the county road was gravel until they put oil wells on the road. Now it's paved. So gravel down the pit road, or the local electrician that comes and wires an outlet for the concession stand, and we make a banner for them. We can't always pay things out because we do have a budget ourselves too, but always invite them. I have a great sponsor, Heath Smith, Pivotal Propane in Morristown, Ohio. His son races quarter midgets nationally, and he was at the Tulsa Shootout this year, running I want to say it was a wing outlaw or one of those. I still can go to him and say, hey, Heath, could you go in and buy the kids sponsor or trophies this year? Sponsor trophies. Absolutely, Bear. Checks in the mail. Or, hey, I've got some leftover tires from the mini wedges. Would you want them and then sell them? Always talk to them. Always include them. There's a list I go through from January to April. And sometimes they'll say no. They just can't do it this year. You know what? Thanks for supporting us anyhow. Here's a couple tickets, general admission tickets, come down. And I talked to a couple of the other of our sponsors for like the Ox Series. And one of the guys was joking with me. He goes, you never invited me to PRI. I said, I am this year.
Oh, baby.
Well,
and it is important. I mean, you know, I don't think that one is really a cool one. I don't think I've ever thought of, you know, saying, you know, inviting your sponsors to come somewhere unless has to do with you personally, you know, actually racing. I mean, just away from the race car, away from racing, having your sponsor do stuff with you personally. I think that is a huge deal.
Well,
not only is Mike Dickerson a great dirt racer, but he also gives so much back. If people knew how much money he put into events, and I know he doesn't want this out there, but, you know, besides not just sponsor parking, but hey, you know, I'll help out your medium or your heavy class or something. But, you know, a couple months ago, I said, hey, I just called him up and said, hey, you want to go to the Dirt Car Nationals at Gateway? He's like, oh, I'd love to. I got to do something with my wife. He was a sponsor. I called him, see if you want to do something. A lot of people that give back, include them in what you do. Greg Miller, who now races concept cars, mid-Ohio, all over Road Atlanta and stuff like that. He still stays in contact with go-karting. He still wants to know what's going on. He owns multiple subways in Ohio, and he's always giving back. Still sponsors the Midwest Race of Champions. So even though he might not be in karting, we still reach out to him and keep those people involved.
That's super awesome. What do we got here? We're on number 7. Go ahead, Jeff.
Make yourself as accessible as possible without going insane.
I know it sounds trivial, but it is the honest truth. You get when you're a promoter or a track owner or even a racer, you'll get people that criticize you all the time. You'll post something on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and you'll get criticized, or people will deject you, and you'll feel down. And it's a sport of highs and lows. You have to be thick-skinned, but if you put yourself out there, you have to be able to take it. So what I learned early on when we're making rules for racing, try to keep them a little more, I don't want to say vague, but you'll have a little bit of gray area. Then you tighten up the more knowledge you get. I couldn't make rules for Lucas Oil late model or UAS, but I can make rules for Predator racing and clone racing because I know those the best for what I do. So when you do that stuff and you put yourself out there to make those rules and people criticize, you have to be able to respond to them positively or take the constructive criticism. And I always kind of wince if we do something big. We just created Ron Rollins came to me and we created the Predator Racing Organization. It says it's pro, but it's not pro Predator. It's a basic, simple set of rules. We got a lot of criticism over it, but we researched it first. We did our homework, and for every 10 people that liked it, we only had one person that would give us a little bit of negative feedback instead of every other person giving you some negative feedback. So making yourself accessible when you do something or change something, don't go hide. Confront it. You don't have to confront it right there on Facebook. Do it on Messenger or give them a text, or I say call me. A lot of the times when we have big races and maybe there were some questionable calls, don't beat me up at the track. It's over. Those are the rules. Calm down for a day and let's talk about it on Monday night. So
exactly.
Don't hide. Don't hide. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm gonna do the best I can to be a man and tell you how it is. I've made horrible calls that I've stood by, that I saw, and it's changed our way of thinking to say we're not gonna make a questionable call. We're gonna make a call based on safety, and if you spin, you go to the tail. If that guy took you out, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. I don't say I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you got taken out. That happens. I don't have instant replay. I don't have certain tools that they would like to look back at it. And a lot of it is judgment. So we try to make it as less of a judgment call as we could. Well, the reason you see a lot of that is down south, they race every week. So and this is just an example. So if Austin Yarborough was to take out Jamie Knopf in a 5,000 to win race on the last lap, there's a good chance Jamie Knopf's going to take out Austin Yarborough the next week for 10,000. And it's just going to keep going back and forth. So you don't see that a lot. Every now and then you might see it, but you don't, because they have the respect that if you take me out this week, I'm going to get you next week for sure.
Absolutely. And this is something that Jeff and I think we agree on, but so many times there's a rule book in place for a purpose. And, so many times it's like, rather than going around and around, what does the rule book say? Well, the rule book says if you do this, you get that. Okay, what did he do? Did he do this? Yes, he did. Well, then he gets that. I mean, I don't know how many times it just seems to me like they make things harder trying to analyze each and every incident as if it were a separate deal. That's what the rule book is there for. And if the racer hasn't read that rule book or isn't up to snuff on that, that's on them.
And I'm guilty of it myself. Earlier on, I believe it's getting easier. Social media made it a little harder because if someone gets butt hurt on Saturday, they want to make sure everybody knows about it on Sunday and get on their side and attack you. But I've been thick-skinned enough to where, no, that's not going to get me. You're going to come in my trailer next time we race, and we're going to talk about it in my trailer next time. It's not going to be, this track is horrible. It's an S-hole. You never go there. It's terrible. That does nothing for the sport. No. All that does is put you out there. Now, if someone got hurt, it's a safety incident, something happened, and we need to have some kind of training, like a fire training, or someone got hurt and there wasn't proper medical there. Yes, we need to bring that out in the open, talk about it. But if you just got a bad call, no. You need to be a civilized person and live the race another day, because what I've learned, I'll make an example out of you, and I'll make an example out at the track. I have guys coming off cussing in front of kids. I grab them, I take them over there, and I sit them on the stands. Sit there till you calm down. Well, I got to wash my tires. No, you're going to sit there till you calm down, or you're not going to race again. Well, I'm leaving. Okay, leave. I've done this to 2 people before. Leave. Well, once I get loaded up, no, I'll walk you to the gate. When you're civil enough, you can come back through the gate and get your truck and trailer. You have to make examples out of people to correct their behavior, right, wrong, or indifferent.
See, and I love that.
That's part of being accessible and standing by your rules.
Well, and using the rule book isn't murder. I mean, it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just like in basketball. They tell you, a technical foul is not murder. It's a big deal, but don't be afraid to use it. And that's what I say. So many times, the rule book is there for a purpose. Let the rule book police everything. So that way you don't have to. If you follow what the rule book says, you really don't have your problems are zero, because the rule book does the policing. You don't have to. You can say, listen, here's what the rule book says. If you don't understand that, that's on you. You need to understand and know every inch of this rule book.
Another one of the biggest things I do hate personally is if you put a claimer rule in, and people say that guy who won's got an illegal motor. Claim the motor.
Yeah,
Simple.
Don't talk about it. Yeah, just claim
Simple. Claim the motor. If you're going to run your mouth, claim the motor. If you're not going to claim the motor, shut up and work on your equipment and get better. Bottom line.
I love that. Our final one here is, remember, you are only one person. So surround yourself with people that have the same positive attitude as you do.
I've been to a lot of tracks, and I've only been racing since about 2002-ish. So half the time, a lot of, between Loader and yourself, you guys have seen it twice the amount, but racing is always changing. There's peaks and valleys. With kart racing now, the biggest thing that we see now is a lot of dirt late model racing, when NASCAR was probably the biggest in the 90s. So it peaks and valleys. If you're going to try to create a dynasty and start from something small, it doesn't matter if it's the local go-kart track or Daytona International Speedway. You can't do it by yourself. And I see a lot of these great promoters, these legends, like Larry Boos and what Jamie Wheeler has become, and a lot of other guys, even the down south promoters that do the Big O in the Georgia Karting Complex. They surround themselves with people that have the same basic drive that they do. You're not just going there to get $10 an hour. You're going there to see great racing, connect with family and friends, and help promote something that's near and dear to you. So Larry Boos, the promoter up at Eldora, he surrounds himself with people that want to do a great job. Jamie Wheeler's always, from the scale guy to the flagman to the grid help to the people that help park cars and take registration, he connects with you individually. A great thing that I always see Jamie Wheeler at Midwest Race Champions does, he has a golf cart. And when you come through that gate and you get your pit pass, he's there on his golf cart to park you individually, each person, and thank you for coming. That goes a long way. And that's why Jamie's race has gone from 200 entries to over 440 entries just in the last 3 years. And you have people from the South now, like Jonathan Cash and Jonathan Wheeler and Patrick Gilliam, coming all the way from Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina to race his events because he connects with those people. I wasn't trying to contradict number 7 about making yourself self-accessible and be out there, but you are one person. You cannot do it alone. I tried flagging. I tried lining carts up. I tried doing the grid. I tried doing registration. You can't. And you can't force anybody to have the same drive in will that you want to do. You have to get people that are interested in doing what you're doing and reward them.
Exactly. There's the key.
They're doing a great job. You know, we all make mistakes. I've had 3 different flagmen in the last 5 years just because of other commitments and stuff they do. And you have to retrain them. They're like, oh, no, I'll stand down in turn 3 and line the carts up. You do the flag stand. I'm going to tell you, please do the flags. I'll tell you when to throw the flags. I'll tell you when to go halfway. You just have to listen. Let me stay down the track. It's easier for me to watch what's going down there. And I learned that from a lot of the guys that work the cart stuff. But when you instill and make them feel important, they want to do a good job. I got guys that come down and help us all the time. Don't ask for anything. I give them $20 just for gas. Just to you don't have to do that. That's the least I can do. We're not making rich off of Saturday night racing. And I think there's a lot of for every track that closes down, there's another track that opens and say, hey, I want to keep it going. Ron Rollins, Tyler Mountain Cartway, Steve Horner and Joey Terry at Clay City, Chris Plank at Cridersville Speedway. There's a lot of guys out there that want to see it going and not die off.
Well, you know, what you said was a super great point, and there's one in particular that I'll never forget. I was at the 2014 IKF 4-cycle Grands at McMinnville, and they have a tech guy. His name is Dan Pellizzari, one of the neatest guys you'll ever meet. He's super knowledgeable. He's a whale of a tech guy, but you should have seen him at the start of the day. People were rolling through where they have pre-tech, and he's like, you know, hey, good morning, man. What's going on? Glad you're here. What's happening? Oh boy, yeah. Here I am doing this, doing my dirty deed, you know, tech and everything. But he was making light of it. He was happy. He was happy. You know, he wasn't he didn't make you feel like he was the strict tech guy. Like, you don't talk to me because I'm the tech guy and I can't. You know, I'm not going to have any. People think that I'm siding with. You know, he was just totally a people person. And I think that went such a long way when he did have to make a call that maybe wasn't in favor of somebody. People understood what a good guy he was, and it just went it was one of the things I took away from that national, you know, with everything else that was going on. I remember Dan Pellizzari as being one whale of a tech guy just because of that.
Smiles are contagious. Perfect example, like you had Midwest Race of Champions last year. Everything is going great. 430 entries. Jamie Wheeler's walking around the track. We're qualifying. It is black as coal off to our west, and the wind's picking up, and we're qualifying clone heavy. And remember, we have 430 entries we're trying to qualify in 2 hours, and we got 3 carts on the track. I'm trying to push it up to 4. We get a huge downpour, knocks down easy ups all over the place. Jamie could have just closed up shop, said, hey, we're done. He's walking around, smiling, looking at the radar, saying, hey, we're going to be good. Give us a couple hours. Everything's going to be fine. Just be patient. He could have said, oh, this sucks, rain. I don't know what we're going to do, whatever. But he stayed positive. He was smiling, and all the other people that were helping him had that same kind of mantra that, you know, it's going to be fine. It's going to be good. It could be the end of the world, but we're still smiling.
Yeah, that's super. That's super important. I mean, I just can't even tell you how important that is. I mean, and like you said, it isn't so much that you make a big deal. I don't think anybody really likes, the big hoopla and whatever, but, a pat on the back and says, gosh sakes, man, you really did a nice job tonight. That goes so far. I mean, I think people just want to be recognized that, they made an effort to do a good job. You know what? And if you just tell them a pat on the back and say, hey, man, you know what? Great job tonight. I really appreciate, what you did. I mean, that just goes multitudes. I mean, Jeff and I talk about it all the time, how important that is.
Well, I worked at Woodburn Drag Strip for 2 years, the top end of the racetrack, the most thankless job there is around there. And all I asked for was a couple beers when the day was over. The money wasn't an issue. Keeping the racer safe was my issue.
Right, but when you had that racer come up to you and say, gosh, you know what? Thanks for being there. It was an outstanding job. I mean, that little bit goes so far in making people want to come back.
I've been very blessed with the people that have helped me get to where I am. If my father wouldn't have let me lease land on the property, there was a whole chain of events that had to happen. But the people, like my parents and then all my friends that had helped me the last 8 years, a lot of it goes unnoticed. My right-hand man for the last 4 or 5 years, Jason Landis. I'm not going to badmouth his karting ability. He's still learning, but one of the best mechanics I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. He could work on anything from my conversion van to the water pump to the winch to the lights at the track. He's our go-to guy, and we don't pay a lot, but what we do is in terms of offering our knowledge and our equipment at the track. Hey, a gallon of Thor oil or a new body or a set of tires goes a long way for those guys that are racing in that sport. And we do a lot. And I don't want to get off the topic of it's another topic of surrounding yourself with people and then taking care of those people to keep them with you. Things happen in life. People have kids, grandkids, you have functions and stuff. You plan around it. You have enough people to fill in. I use the example of Larry Booz at the truck race. They have a Craftsman truck race up there. He probably has twice the amount of people that he needs to have there, but there is never a shortage of hot dogs or food. Trash is picked up in a timely manner. It is a nice facility, and he takes care of those people. It goes a long way.
This guy says he's from Athens, and he said they call thunderstorms toad stranglers.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, you've hit it, Bear. And I think one thing we didn't talk about is, we all love accolades. I mean, as an announcer, I've had people come up and say, man, great, we love, great, you get so much of that, and you go, wow, it's really good. But then you get an honest person who comes up and honestly has some constructive criticism, but they come to you in a way that says, hey, I love what you do. It's really great, but here's something you've missed, or here's something that I think you could do better. We can't miss the fact that if you go with the right attitude and approach people, you can tell them maybe the things that you don't like or improvements that need to be made. If you do it in a cordial manner. I mean, you don't have to go up and say, you know what, you're the biggest POS I've ever, but if you go up and say, hey, you know what, I really like what you're doing, but here's where I think you could improve, or here's where I thought it could be better. I mean, I've always said, I like the accolades, are great, but hey, if you've got constructive criticism, constructive meaning, you're not going to go out there and humiliate people and do all that kind of stuff, bring that too, because I think you need to hear the negative just as much as you need all that positive accolades too.
Later in my life, and I know you laugh with my age, I'm not super old, but what I've learned in my short life so far, you're going to get more bees with honey, but the biggest thing that I've learned over my life, over everything, is compromise and balance. If you can't, everything is a balance. For every something bad that has happened out there, there is something good. For every something wrong, there's something right. And you always have to keep everything in balance. If you're not getting a lot of go-karts at your show, you have to do something great. If you have a ton of go-karts and they're all over the place, you have to install more rules or limit stuff. So you have to balance, even it out. Nothing is always going to go your way. You have to have balance. You have to have just like a marriage. You know, if you could do whatever you want all the time, are you sure your wife's happy or your partner's happy? No.
Somebody is.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be happy. But and maybe you have a wife or a partner that enjoys everything you do all the time. But sometimes you're going to have to go to the opera, or you're going to have to go to a ballet,
yes.
or you're going to have to go to something.
Hold it. Time out. There's no opera, no ballet.
So you have to balance,
yeah.
and you have to show that same kind of passion that you have when things aren't going your way. And you might get knocked down 50 times. Someone else might never get knocked down. That's life. That's the balance that we have to keep everything going. I get frustrated all the time. I'm not going to have enough sponsors for this event, or we're going to get rained out. I don't have a makeup date. There's always going to be tomorrow. Make the best of what you have and compromise with people. Not everybody's going to understand your rules or do the same exact thing that you're going to do. Maybe it will work out for them. Maybe it won't, but you tried. There's a time to be aggressive. There's a time to be patient. There's a time to scream at someone to get their attention. And there's a time just to listen. So I do believe in a lot of balance.
Yeah, and exactly. And when you're talking about the rain, you had enough back there this year.
And it's raining right now. I was actually, earlier tonight, I was headed to Mike Dickerson's shop. I'd deliver a cart, and I got about a third of the way there, and it was raining so much, and it was icing over. I had to turn around and come back. We have some really bad weather in Ohio right now between ice and rain. And the bad part about it, the last 2 years, we've had more rain than the last on record. In the last 100 years.
That friend of mine that owns National Trail there,
mm-hmm.
I follow it really close, and all of a sudden you see rain out. Rain out.
It's very bad. And the problem we have, we're at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in Zanesville, Ohio, and Cambridge, eastern side of the state. And the problem when it rains in the winter and it saturates the ground and then it freezes, it creates landslides. And that's the problem we've been having the last 2 years. Up and down eastern Ohio, we've had over 300 road closures on state routes and county roads because of that. But, hey, it's balanced. We had a great 30-year run before that where we had average rainfall, and it will take the good with the bad.
Bear, before we let you go, man, I got to say this. I mean, and I mean this wholeheartedly. Man, the racers back there are so lucky to have somebody like you back there. I mean, I've listened to you for our 3 segments, and I hope we collaborate and do some more. I think this has been just super good. But I gotta say, honestly, man, the racers are so lucky to have somebody like you back there doing what you're doing. I mean, it's man, it's almost priceless. The way you are and the way you try to treat everybody and what you're doing back there. I mean, it's it does nothing but just bring good on the sport, dude. I mean, and I totally mean that.
And it takes people like you and Loader and Lippy to bring people out. So I commend what you do. You've been doing it for 10 times as long as I have. I've learned from people like you, like Larry Booz, Jamie Wheeler, Kurt Burris, that stuff it's hard to pass that stuff on. So I'm humbled from your words, but also it's people like you that bring us onto the spotlight to show what we can do to make things better.
Dude, we got to collaborate. We got to come up with another segment. I mean, another 3 segments. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. If you get a chance, drop Bear a line. Let him know what you've thought of these 3 segments that we did. I know the loader said he enjoyed the first 2. He wasn't here the first 2, but I know I sure learned a lot, and I love doing them. I love bringing this stuff that can help the sport. And like I always say, everybody says, well, man, what's your show? You know, if my show does nothing but give one little nugget that race teams can go and apply that help them, man, that's all I really ask. That's all I really want is man, maybe they'll get one little thing that helps them think about something or helps tip the scale the other way. So instead of having all that piss poor luck, you know, it goes the other way. I mean, that's really what I want. Just a small nugget of something that they can take away out of each and every show.
And to where your nugget and what you want to do to promote your ideas is the same kind of model that we're trying to do. My whole purpose and my inspiration was I wanted to make sure, or what I was trying to do was to get that father and son, that father and daughter, that mother and son, mother and daughter, to have a connection where they could grow up doing something. And now I've seen 100 families be able to make that connection from the time they were juniors racing in kid karts, like Jared and Gary John, Chris and Jacob Ice. These father and sons, mother and daughter relationships are priceless. And for you to be able to see them grow for 10 years, it's priceless. And that's what I live for.
It is. Like the loader and I were talking, we see these kids in kid karts, you know, like Brittany Zamora, who won she was the first female to win the Northwest Super Late Model Series. She doesn't do it once, but she does it 2 years back to back. You know, and we've watched her since she was just a little kid, you know, in junior too. Or Kellen Dean, you know, his family, his mom's going through the cancer thing. You've got guys like Steve Sharpley, who's the tire guy for the Rocket, Ronnie Cox, you know, he loses his wife. Everybody comes together to help this guy out. I mean, it's so much more than just turning the wheel, if you know what I mean.
That is life to me. It is. We're trying to teach life. Racing is just part of the mechanism that helps gets us there.
Man, Bear Tamasovich, you are the man, dude. Sorry I butchered your name for the first 2 segments. I just heard you say it, and I went, oh, boy, I've been tearing that up.
No worries. It's been an honor. Loader, Lippy, Terry Bridges, hopefully I can see you guys soon. Sorry I couldn't make out the BK, but thanks for everything you do, and hopefully we can do some more of these segments down the line.
Yeah, we got to do it, man. We'll be in touch for sure. I'll get in touch with you here shortly so we can start our next segments, all right?
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
You too, Bear. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bear Tamasovich. Dude, is he not cool?
Oh, from the very first time that we talked to him, I just love his perspective on what it takes to do this.
Yep. And he's got the Bears Den. His show is on Tuesday nights. Go check him out. He is worth. He's a big teddy bear is what he is. And he's just a cool cat, man. And we appreciate you, man. The show was awesome tonight. Bart Hector Jr., good to see you back, man. Jim John Olinger, good to see you, man. Ralph Kemper, Kathy McDougal, Pit Mom, we love you. Bradley Shaw, Brian Williamson, Billy Weber, good to see you on here, man, and chiming in. We love that. We love that. Caleb Schrader, you too, man, you stud. Adam Morris, Mohawk Morris, Linda McClain, Joe Ransom, John McNeil, Jeremy Grady, Pat Hinton, the great promoter at Rainier. I mean, dude.
I'm looking forward to some more flat track this year.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Dude, it's going to be a wonderful year. We're going to let you know soon. We got some cool little commercials we're going to be doing for Late Model Monday, so stay tuned. They're going to be starring the loader, as he's going to be really in tune because he's going to be helping out Team 17.
The team, yeah, boy, that's getting hard to say. Mad Max?
Mad Max, the Blingmeister himself. But thank you, James. It was a great show. And hopefully as racers, you guys can see just what these promoters are trying to do for you. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring light to the fact that, hey, not everything's going to go your way. Not everything's going to be the best. But, man, they are trying to do what's best for the sport. And so if we can just understand and really see what they're trying to do, it's going to be super great.
It's like a life lesson. Not everything is roses.
It isn't.
You know, and that's I mean, you're not always going to win. It's not always going to go your way. You put, like you said, you put a smile on your face, and you go on to the next deal. Or like we used to say, 2 bottles of water.
2 bottles. Yeah, Ray Smith said that. That was a great deal. You know, 2 bottles of water, then go talk about it. And if you're still feeling upset, then you can go talk about it. Go ahead, Jeff.
And John will be seeing you sometime up there this year, because Max is planning on racing on the 5.8s.
Absolutely, man. And check it out. We're gonna have the owner of Tag USA on the show, and that's coming up. I'll let you know when that's going to be happening. But that's going to be another great show. Hopefully, we're going to have him in studio. Marty Casey himself, owner of Tag USA. I'll let you know when that's coming. But thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm glad you liked the show. We love bringing it to you, and we'll be back next week. Well, another show in the books. You are the reason we're here. We hope you'll tune in next week for another Winning Wednesday here on the Northwest Race Report.
Lippy here. If you like tonight's show or any of our shows, please like and share on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by TerryBridgesRacing.com. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our shows.
Have a good evening.